Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the life-saving science of protecting our dogs and cats during extreme summer heat. There's a simple, undeniable truth when it comes to hot weather. Our pets just cannot manage extreme heat the way we do. They can't peel off a layer of clothing, right? And by the time they actually show us they're in distress, they're often already in serious medical trouble. So our goal today is to get you fully equipped to read those hidden signs and act fast. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, why pets overheat. Second, who is most at risk. Third, spotting the danger signs. Fourth, hidden hazards and myths. And finally, prevention and first aid. Okay, Section 1, why pets overheat, or the biological disadvantage. There's a massive sheer contrast in how we cool down versus how our furry best friends do. When we get hot, we sweat across practically our entire body, and as that sweat evaporates, boom, we cool down. But dogs and cats, they can't do that. They rely almost entirely on panting, plus a few minor sweat glands hidden away in their paw pads. This fundamental biological difference is exactly why an 85-degree day, which might just feel like nice t-shirt weather to you, can push a dog or cat toward real, dangerous physiological stress. And you know the hidden enemy in all of this? It's actually humidity. See, panting works by evaporating moisture from the tongue, mouth, and airway, which literally pulls the heat right out of the body. But when the air is already totally saturated with high humidity, that evaporation process slows way down. Panting becomes far less effective. This is exactly why a humid heat wave is exponentially more dangerous for your pet than a dry heat at the exact same temperature. It's kind of like trying to dry off with a wet towel. Moving right along to Section 2, who is most at risk in identifying vulnerable pets? Take a look at this table and see if your pet falls into a high-risk category. For dogs, a massive risk factor is being brachycephalic. That's just the fancy scientific term for flat-faced breeds, like bulldogs, Frenchies, and chow chows. Their airway anatomy severely limits how much air they can actually move when they pant. But it's definitely not just breed. Across both dogs and cats, being overweight, being super young or a senior, rocking a thick dark coat, or dealing with underlying conditions like kidney or heart disease, all of that significantly elevates their risk of a heat-related emergency. Now, a totally crucial point for the cat owners out there. Felines have a very different heat stroke profile. Because cats instinctively hide and seek out cool spots, they usually aren't going to run themselves into heat exhaustion outside. Feline heat stroke most commonly happens when they get trapped in a hot environment they literally can't escape. We're talking about slipping into a hot car, climbing into a clothes dryer, or getting stuck inside a house that just lost power and AC during a summer storm. Let's dive into Section 3, spotting the danger signs and the escalation of symptoms. The earliest signs of heat stress can be surprisingly subtle. If your dog is actively seeking out shade, acting restless, or panting heavier than usual, they are getting way too hot. But looking at that last point for cats, this is fascinating. Cats are absolute masters at hiding discomfort, but one telltale early sign of heat stress is excessive grooming. They're actually trying to spread saliva on their fur to mimic sweating. If you see your cat doing this alongside noticeably damp paw pads, they are seriously struggling. If you happen to miss those early signs, well, things escalate rapidly. Symptoms like labored or super noisy breathing, saliva that has turned thick and ropey, or gums suddenly turning bright red, pale, or blue, that means your pet has crossed the line from heat exhaustion into a full-blown medical emergency. Things like vomiting with blood, staggering around, or collapsing mean their internal organs are actively taking damage from the heat. Let's cement this number in your mind right now, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. If a cat's body temperature hits 104 degrees, it is officially classified as heat stroke. And the resulting inflammation can start wrecking nearly every single organ system in their tiny bodies. And for dogs, a temperature of 105 to 106 degrees is the absolute danger zone. When a dog hits this temperature, they start suffering central nervous system symptoms, things like severe disorientation and seizures. At this point, it's treated as severe heat stroke, requiring immediate life-saving veterinary intervention. No time to waste. Section 4, hidden hazards and myths and avoiding those invisible traps. The speed at which a parked car heats up is honestly terrifying. In just the first 10 minutes, the interior can jump nearly 20 degrees and almost 30 degrees in just 20 minutes. And here is the real kicker. This happens regardless of whether it's a scorching 100 degrees outside or a mild, breezy 70-degree day. The inside of a car acts exactly like a greenhouse, turning it into a deadly trap in mere minutes. You've probably heard the old advice that cracking the windows keeps a car cool enough. Well, it turns out that is a complete myth.
Research from veterinary experts absolutely proves that cracking a window makes zero measurable difference to how quickly that interior heats up. None. The only safe choice is to just leave your pet at home when a car ride isn't absolutely necessary.
Here's another incredibly common myth. Shaving my pet's coat will help them stay cool. Actually, no. For most double-coated or thick-coated breeds, a close shave removes their natural insulation against the heat, totally backfiring. Plus, it exposes their really sensitive skin to severe sunburn. And speaking of outdoor dangers, asphalt can run considerably hotter than the air above it. A really great trick to remember is the 10-second rule. Just press the back of your hand or your bare foot against the pavement. If you can't hold it there comfortably for 10 full seconds, it is absolutely too hot for your dog's sensitive paw pads and can cause severe burns. This usually kicks in when air temperatures hit around 85 degrees. And remember, the threat isn't just outside on the sizzling pavement. An indoor cat or a dog left at home can easily fall victim to a power outage or a broken AC unit. Humid, poorly ventilated indoor spaces are a huge recognized cause of heat stroke. You absolutely must have a backup plan for keeping the house cool if the power goes out while you're away at work. Which brings us to Section 5, Prevention and First Aid, and Taking Action. So what are our daily defense mechanisms here? Well, first, dedicate one room in your house, like a basement or a tiled bathroom, to stay noticeably cool. Shift all your dog walks to the early morning or well after the sun goes down. Provide multiple bowls of fresh water and toss in a few ice cubes to keep it cooler longer. And finally, instead of shaving your pet, thoroughly brush out their undercoat. It naturally improves their air circulation.
Now, if disaster strikes and you suspect heat stroke, follow these exact steps immediately because speed matters. Step 1. Get them out of the heat and into the shade or AC right away. Step 2. Begin cooling them down with cool, damp towels or pouring cool water over them, combined with a fan. Step 3. Get on the phone with your emergency vet immediately while you're doing this. The veterinary consensus across the board is super clear on this. Cool first, transport second. Do not just throw an overheating dog into a hot car and start driving to the clinic. You have to initiate the cooling process at home before you move them, because those first few minutes are absolutely vital to saving their internal organs. But hey, there is a massive caveat to that cooling process. Avoid ice-cold water. I know it sounds like it would help, but when you dump freezing water on a hot pet, it instantly constricts the blood vessels near the skin. This actually traps the extreme heat inside their core, making the situation far, far worse. It can also cause them to shiver, and shivering physically generates even more body heat. Always stick to cool or room temperature water. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this vital question. You know how to beat the heat on a normal day, but if the power grid completely fails tomorrow in the middle of July, what is your pet's cooling plan? Preparing a cooler room and having a battery-powered fan ready today might literally save their life tomorrow. Start making that plan right now. Thanks for learning with us, and keep those furry friends cool.